All right, and as always, Craig Williams. Are you a sidekick? Are we sidekicks or co-host or what? Yeah,
whatever. I'll go by anything.
Man, you did an amazing job when I was out of town last week. I think you deserve a big round of applause.
We do what we do.
Yeah, I'm telling you, but you do it well. That's for our buddy Craig Williams. Yeah. All right. So with that being said, let's get underway with the show. So we have a full house here for this edition of the CoFounders podcast, being brought to you in part by WeWork. With their newest location around the world, they landed right here in Atlanta. Can you believe that?
Been waiting.
I know,
Been
right?
waiting for it.
And we're excited to be...
Dream come true.
I'm telling you, we love that space over there. So
yes, we do.
We do. I'm sure they've heard them all, yeah. So before we introduce our first guest, let's just welcome our guest in the studio. If you would just quickly introduce yourself and your company and how you're helping the world. If you want to just start off with us here.
Sure. My name's Christian Louvier. I'm the CEO of Sell Personal, and we are a growth marketing agency for entrepreneurs.
I'm all over that. And up next, you guys are? We got two for the price of one right here.
Yeah,
that's true.
I'm Charlie Rigby with OneUped.
I am Matt St. Louis. I'm also with OneUped. It's a social gaming app.
All right. And our anchor man here, Nick, what are you going to be talking about today?
Hi, I'm Nick Santora, CEO of Curricula, and we teach companies how to not get hacked.
Oh, man. I'm going to be taking good notes during this show. Let's.
I'm glad it's being recorded.
I'm telling you. So, Alejandro, now, would you introduce yourself? You're joining us on the show live from what parts of the world are you in right now?
Well, I'm actually calling you guys from New York. Originally, as you sense from the accent, from Spain.
All right.
But yeah, I'm the co-founder and executive chairman at Onevest. And basically what we're doing at Onevest is developing an ecosystem in which we help in the formation of companies via CoFounders Lab, which is a matchmaking service where we match entrepreneurs one another and also with advisors. There we've made over 170,000 introductions in the past 2 years. And then we're also operating at the financing level, 1,000 angels. And basically what we do on that platform is connect early-stage tech-enabled companies with accredited investors and helping these companies raise anywhere between $500,000 to $5 million. So that's overall what we do.
Wow.
I'm all in on that. Sign me up for that one. And Asia, I know the partnership with WeWork. So we're very excited here in Atlanta, Alejandro, to host to relaunch the CoFounders Lab tomorrow night here in Atlanta. And Asia, if you'll talk about the WeWork and your part in that.
Sure. My name's Asia Anderson. I'm the city lead for WeWork Atlanta, and our first building here in Atlanta is WeWork Buckhead. We're really excited to be hosting CoFounders Lab's relaunch here in Atlanta and to have the Pro Business Channel sponsoring that as well. Also very excited to have Alejandro on the line because he's one of our members in New York. CoFounders Lab is a really amazing part of our member ecosystem. We have nearly 60,000 people around the world that are part of the WeWork family. And CoFounders is not only with us in New York, but we also worked with them in San Francisco. So we've got a great history of bringing them into the space and facilitating the matches that they make that go on to make the companies who are coming out of that lab really, really successful.
And speak to that, Alejandro, as the founder, co-founder. It's funny, you're the co-founder of CoFounders Lab. Yes or yes?
So yeah, and I have to say that I'm very thankful to you all for helping with leading those events in Atlanta, and then as well we're very grateful to WeWork because I remember when we started our company based out of the studio of our co-founder, we got kicked out of there because it was a rental building, and they were not very happy with seeing a bunch of cousins every morning coming in. They said, "You guys have either too much love or there's something weird happening there." So
we like weird.
We basically took our first office, and our first office was a WeWork, and it was the WeWork in Soho here in New York City on Grant and Center. So we're very thankful to you guys for helping us with becoming a little bit more professional, because before that our meetings were actually on a bed, so that was not very professional.
Yeah, that's a different meeting. Yeah. So finally, talk to us about what folks that are not familiar with the CoFounders Lab and the event. Online and offline, what might someone expect at an event like that?
Yeah, so I think that those events are a really nice way to accelerate and enhance what we're doing online. So really quickly, as I mentioned before, CoFounders Lab is used to be able to meet your co-founder, and then as well to meet advisors. I think that this is critical because over 62% of companies fail because of co-founder issues. So, people go into business with other, partners for the wrong reasons, with the wrong type of commitment or passion. And I think that, this service really helps in that regard. And those events are wonderful because it's a good way to really get to meet people in person as well and see what type of alignment and connection you can get in person. No? So it's wonderful. Those events, we do them. Right now we have over 50 of them happening every year, and we're very, very grateful for everyone that is helping us to put them together.
And speaking of putting things together, I know you got to jump on another call here in a second. We're going to turn our attention to the guest here in the studio. But I was reading your bio, and you were involved in one of the largest investment arbitration cases in history.
Yeah, that was actually $113 billion at stake, and I was 23 years old.
120
an attorney.
billion.
So I'm a recovering lawyer still seeking
Exactly.
And then finally talk to us about your new book that's I've been hearing about all over social media and at the website. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so the book is called The Art of Startup Fundraising. And I think that I'm very happy with the overall reaction of people, because this is really a guide to help people raise capital, because the big issue that I saw is that over 65% of companies fail because of lack of access to financing. And the main reason for that is because they don't have the education, they don't have an understanding of how the game works, what kind of psychology you need to use to be able to get to those investors, to connect with those investors. And the books that I saw that were written were for the most part written by venture capitalists. And the truth of the matter is that venture capitalists don't really care about the founders. They do report to their limited partners, right? So it's like a different type of guidance. So what I felt was, why not putting together a guide that speaks from the same side of their table, from someone that has seen this and someone that has done it and that has also dealt with the same struggles. So that's basically what I wanted to put together here with this book, which was not talking about, here are, different success stories. It's more about here's how you can build your own success story. And that's what the Art of Startup Fundraising book is all about.
Well, I know everyone in the studio is going to go grab a copy right away, but we're going to let you jump on your call. We're going to switch gears to our continue the podcast. We really appreciate and honor to have you on the show on the eve of the relaunch for CoFounders Lab here at WeWork here in Atlanta. And maybe next time you're in Atlanta, come on by and we'll meet you in person rather than in podcast.
Fantastic. Will do. Thank you so much, everyone, and thank you as well to everyone that is listening.
Absolutely. Thanks again.
Bye-bye.
Absolutely. All right, so Asia, continue this conversation now, segue into WeWork. So for those folks, again, I'll turn the tables that haven't heard about WeWork. Tell what they might expect Alejandro said it very well, right? But is that kind of a typical experience, or why do people get attracted to?
It is. We have a lot of people that come in that say, I cannot look at, my fridge any longer. I'm in my pajamas. Please give me a place that I can come and work every day and get dressed for it. Although his story is definitely the best that I've heard this week.
That's a good one.
We have anybody from a freelancer just kind of getting their business put together to companies like Coke and Dell and Microsoft, who are coming into our space to take enterprise space with us. And you can be zero funding, just working on your idea, to millions, billions in dollars, and we're going to find a space that works for you. Whether that's a single person office, that's a 30-person office, maybe it's an entire floor. We provide this ecosystem that allows you to grow your business, attract the kind of talent that you want, and connect with people, whether that's finding a co-founder through a meetup like this, or maybe finding the proper financing, like Alejandro mentioned, finding the kind of VC that's actually going to care about your founders. We have connections with companies like TriNet, who provide payroll and HR processing as well as healthcare at a rate 50% below current market value. So you can get your company set up with healthcare services that are much more competitive than Cobra can offer. So it's a full service ecosystem for you, and you come in, plug into this community where not only are you going to make really important and valuable business connections, you're probably also going to make a bunch of friends. I find that the people that I'm closest with over the last 3 years are all people that I've met as a result of WeWork.
Outstanding, too. And WeWork has been known to be the behemoth in this space as far as actually square footage, might I add. But I've experienced it more as a village. And you can have that mega environment, but you have more of a village experience. Speak to the intentionality of, how intentional. I could say it, but share with me how you found WeWork to be very intentional in making sure that's part of the culture.
Sure. So there's no application process. It's not as though you're coming in and I'm screening you to see if you're the right kind of business. There's no barrier to entry. Any niche, any type of company can come in. The only thing that might not work would be welding. I don't have any way to invent that currently, but it doesn't mean we won't be able to bring that online at some point.
Give you
in the
an
future.
exterior office, yeah.
Yeah, exterior for sure.
There you go.
But we do put a lot of effort into finding companies that are not only going to be a good fit because the model of community works well for them, but let's say I've got a recruiting company who's just joined us, and I have a communications company who's come in and said, we're going to be hiring soon. We're not really sure where to go for that. And I say, well, you know what's going to be a great benefit for you if you come in here? I'm going to introduce you to this recruiting firm, and they're going to give you a discount on their services because you're a fellow member.
Yeah.
So we go to a lot of effort to try to make sure that we have a nice balance of every kind of niche represented, so that everybody in that, not only in that small local building, with Buckhead, but plugging that into the larger community of those 60,000 people around the world, they're going to be able to bring their businesses to the global marketplace.
Yeah, nationwide and worldwide. And we're going to have you mention how folks would find out about WeWork in just a second. But our shared experience, if I can speak with Craig as well, is that it is that community environment. You have food and lunch and learns and conference rooms and 24-hour access and yada, yada, yada. So let folks know how's the best way to find out about WeWork.
The best way to find out about WeWork in Atlanta would be by emailing atlanta@wework.com. That'll get my entire team here in the city. And then if you're interested in other cities, you could also email us, and I can direct you appropriately.
Perfect. All right. So, how did y'all come to meet, and what's the backstory here?
It's actually a pretty cool story. Okay. You want to start?
Well, the beginning's really not that cool. I've known Charlie.
Oh man, Charlie!
Let's be honest here. I've met Charlie through several other engagements and companies that we worked for in the past, and we kind of had this entrepreneurial bond of we wanted to eventually work on a project together. And, it just happened that we were in a bar one night discussing potential projects and figuring out, bouncing ideas off one another. And we just came up with, hey, we should build a social gaming app and call it One-Upped and, drive people to challenge each other and, whatever that means.
And that's also kind of reflective of a lot of the friendships that we've got. We want to, we always want to reach out to, excuse me.
No, it's just radio. You can go ahead and hit anybody in the studio.
No, so we always wanted to. We were always challenging each other, whether it's who can chug a beer, who can throw this in the trash can across the room, literally any kind of challenge. And so we said, would it be really cool to be able to have a platform where you can really judge and rate other people's challenges and who has the best. So that's kind of how it started, and then. Took off from there.
So instead of trumping the other guy, you one up.
Exactly.
That's good timing. Yeah. So now let's talk about the business model and what does it look like on what a consumer they might expect to experience.
Well, again, they can get it. It's available on iOS currently. It's in the Apple Store. We kind of just launched out of beta. So if you come in initially to the app, you'll see a list of all the available challenges. So right now, it's all public challenges.
Okay.
So you can't. In the future, we will have private challenges where it's only specific to your friends. But right now, as we acquire more users, we're looking to drive as many people to participate as possible. So
can you give us one of those challenges, public challenges?
There's a public challenge going on right now that's attracting a lot of users. Again, we just launched out of beta, so we're kind of in high user acquisition phase, but it's called the Vacation Photo Challenge. So again, you can be as creative as possible. So anything in the world can be a challenge. Right. So the Vacation Photo Challenge is just it's anybody that's traveling throughout 2016. If you take a photo, you submit it to the Vacation Photo Challenge. You have the ability to actually win a $1,000 travel voucher through our site. So
so who determines the winners?
The winners are determined by the algorithm on the back end that tracks all the voting for each individual submission. So once the challenge ends, it tracks all the votes, and we notify the winner.
So it's kind of peer-to-peer, and were people involved in the process as well?
Absolutely. Everyone is involved on some level. So if you don't want to participate in the app, then you can actually just
sit back and vote on it.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
You can view all the content and vote all day long.
So something like the community of WeWork in a particular geography, they could take on a challenge within their...
Oh, yeah, between the different locations.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've actually spoken to a few different people that are involved with several different charities around town. And I mean, we're totally open to letting them use the platform for whatever they want.
Yeah, that's a great premise. So people that, when you donate, when you vote, you kind of make a donation on a crowdfunding platform or on Patreon or some source, right?
There's a lot of different ways that it can go,
Yeah.
So how do you all make money? I mean, you're so generous.
Right now we're not.
Welcome to CoFounders podcast.
But we'd like to have sponsored challenges.
Okay.
So 4th of July just happened. You can imagine Coca-Cola is not a current advertiser of ours
yet.
But you can imagine, if you have a Coca-Cola 4th of July selfie challenge with a huge captive audience, I think that'd be really engaging with the brand. We kind of envision it to be engaging with the brand rather than just an ad.
Yeah, it's definitely a platform for engagement marketing. Obviously, step one is to acquire users. Obviously, it's not valuable to a corporation or even a local business until you have the user base. But once that happens, then the opportunity is endless because, like Charlie said, they can have a corporate sponsor challenge where people are driven to engage with their product.
Right.
And people are not just paying for advertising to have somebody speak on their product. They're actually doing it themselves. So there's huge value there once the platform's complete and we have the users.
And it's a lot better than a web banner for advertising.
Right, yeah.
You're engaging with the brand. So
now I'm thinking of Buddy with Vienna beef, and they could do the hot dog challenge, whatever, right? Yeah.
It's anything.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I know you're just early stages, but what's kind of, not the big picture next, but what's on your short list to tackle your next project or task?
As co-founders.
Yeah, the next thing, and I think a lot of co-founders experience this, we raised initial capital of friends and family about $30,000, so we had to make a decision of what do we do with that money, where do we allocate it, so we moved towards trying to build out the most user-friendly platform we can across iOS, which I feel like we've done, and now it's at a stage where we really need to hit the road as far as marketing goes, but before we do that, we really need to start driving revenue. We need to find a way to raise new capital to be able to have marketing dollars to acquire users, and then those users will in turn come back to us and drive content. So it's kind of all interchangeable there. So, and
it's not that we're ignoring Android. It's just we looked around at all of our best friends, and everybody
statistically
had an iPhone, pretty much.
I mean, I always feel like the apple and I'm the orange in the room, right? What about me, dude? Yeah, I always feel like apples and oranges.
You got to go both, man.
Yeah, I know.
You got to go both.
Exactly.
I'm sure it'll come shortly. So you spent the other $15,000 for y'all to go on vacation and take the photos? Is that how that works?
Yeah. And are you all coders?
Not at all. Go ahead.
No, I think that's a great point as far as moving forward as a startup. In my experience is we had this idea and most people say, oh, it's a great idea, but we can't build it, so we're not going to do it. But we came up with the fact that hey, no matter what, we're going to do it. So we hit specific verticals and obstacles along the way that we said, hey, now we've got to find a way to get this built. And
it's actually really kind of interesting short story, but we decided that when we were trying to raise money to do this. We needed some sort of actual tangible prototype to show someone,
right?
Because an idea is just an idea. So we wound up fortuitously ran into these two guys that were from Georgia Tech. They were seniors at a bar, and they were out. And they were out in the middle of the week and taking surveys from bar owners about some sort of app that they wanted to develop. And I told them about the idea. Said, we're dying to have someone just create some sort of a working prototype that it doesn't have to even have a backbone to it. It just has to look, there has to be an interface. And so we negotiated with them, and they helped us get that prototype down. And then that's exactly what allowed us to raise the rest of the money to build the app.
Perfect. And how would folks find about y'all?
They can go to www.getoneupped.com, and that's the number one UPD.com, and that'll drive them directly into the App Store to download it, or you can just go into the App Store and type in the number one UPD, and then you can log in, view the challenges, and create your own challenges. Invite people, share it across social media, see if you can do things the best.
And we've got a Facebook page, obviously, a Twitter account. But the Facebook page, we're starting to now that we're kind of pulling out of beta, we're sharing stuff there.
I know we're almost out of time, but I had another idea. We talked about corporate challenges, but how huge would this be? Is to get the college challenges going on?
That's initially was our game plan to launch. We missed that based upon development. We wanted to go to all these college campuses and drive people.
Football season's going to be
great. We'll do the road trip with you all, whatever.
Yeah, we'll do that. We got
all
you.
Aboard.
All right, all aboard.
Majority of my career, 10 years, and I think I've only worked for one company that was based in Atlanta. Typically, all my employers have been in San Francisco or LA, and I've worked out east. And then basically, I was helping a lot of entrepreneurs build up their personal brands and market themselves, and I was able to turn that into a business. So
we got some other fellow San Franciscans in the studio.
Yeah, that works too, man. That works.
So what was the idea behind, and we'll describe Sell Personal. What is this?
Sure. Sure. So typically, if you're looking at, my sweet spot is companies between 5 employees up to 150. And what happens is there's a chicken and egg syndrome, because you've got the entrepreneur that the business is starting out on his reputation or her reputation, and they're not at a point where they can separate that yet from the business. But they only have so much time during the day to grow both brands. So we take the entrepreneurial side of that and basically bring paid, owned, and social media all into one place. One of my clients summed it up the best for me. Is she said that I basically take her entire head, tag it, and then put it into a format that people can understand.
Is that painful, or it sounds like it?
It is. It was until she met me.
Oh, good. Whoa, there you go. Nice answer, quick. And so these are executives, entrepreneurs, influencers, right? And it's, again, that kind of challenge between personal and business brand?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. And so what does that look like? What's the experience?
Sure. The experience is highly customized, but for instance, I have a tech founder right now.
Okay.
And he's got an amazing group of full stack developers, but he has no idea how to actually get in front of the right angel investors to get his product funded. And so I'm actually helping him build that story to get into the right people. So that's one good example for the audience here.
Outstanding. Where the name Sell Personal come from?
Sure. So my time during SaaS software sales and that startup environment is very much, as most people probably know listening, is very much you're on your own. You don't have a lot of, other than corporate branding, you don't really have a lot of support. And I realized that the social media, the paid media, the guerrilla marketing that I was doing was all on my own. Mm-hmm. And what I realized is that there was a lot of people who were just starting companies who needed that same support, because if you're an entrepreneur or a founder, you're the number one salesperson. Mm-hmm. And so it became a point of selling personal. And anybody who's done email marketing knows this. If you send out a bunch of emails, 100,000 emails, and you get 1% response, it's a good day. But right. We take that to where you're hitting high-level targets with a personalized experience. So that's where we get Sell Personal.
Outstanding.
I love it. And I guess that's where they would find you on the wwws?
Yeah, it's sellpersonal.com, and it's actually Sell, S-E-L-L.
Yeah.
The first technical co-founder I came across spelled it cell, like biology cell. So
or the cell phone, yeah.
Right.
So this is let's make some sales.
Yes, exactly. Let's grow a business.
All right, that's your new tagline if you don't already have one, yeah.
Yeah, let's grow a business. Or squeeze your head. And
squeeze your head. Or tag it. That just sounds powerful to me. I don't see the squeeze my head. All right, so hold on tight here. Tell us your life as a small child.
Well, I grew up in New Jersey.
And we're out of time.
And we're done.
No, but before you would talk business, kind of what was your background? What did you dabble in?
So I've always been involved with breaking and hacking into things at a pretty young age. But kind of how we got started was I worked for the federal regulator of the power grid in North America for about 7 years. And I would do everything from advising to auditing to investigations and basically helping protect our grid from hackers. Mm. And they have a bunch of compliance, requirements on these utility companies, and the violations can reach up to $1 million per day per violation. Jeez. So they take it pretty serious. One of the regulatory requirements is to teach your people within the utility about the requirements, which is a bunch of legal language that no one likes to read. So I would be out on these audits and I'd see these death by PowerPoint presentations, just copying and pasting the laws, and people weren't getting it. So, at that point, I had this kind of vision saying if someone could actually teach this stuff in a way where people can actually understand it, we're going to be in good shape. So that's what we did.
So are we being hacked right now, or
Constantly.
constantly? If Nick's in the room, yeah.
And Nick, were you a hacker at one time?
For
I'm
legal
not going to
reasons,
say
you
that
can't
definitely on the radio.
No comment. Yeah.
I'm sure it's recorded.
So yes, we are. So now, one of your unique aspects of your business is as a non-traditional approach to startups. Talk to about that.
Right. So one of the things that we looked into was for traditional funding and trying to raise capital, but our industry was so unique and so distinct on what our approach was. Plus, I had all of the contacts necessary to start reaching out because I was working for the regulator, audited the companies that I'd be selling to.
On the inside.
So it was a little bit of an unfair advantage, but at that time we went out and talked with some VCs, and it just didn't make sense for us. So I wound up pulling everything out of 401k, grabbed another partner in Atlanta, and we're completely privately owned with growing customer base.
Wow. Outstanding. And I love the name, Curricula. I mean, you basically are what you say you are. You're that solution that teaches and advocates this process.
Right. And one of the so kind of where we are now is we started with the utility industry, and we knew that they had to learn about these regulations. We had this kind of aha moment saying, well, if we're doing it for this industry, other industries can definitely benefit from this style of teaching. And the way that we teach is through stories. So we animate these short little stories. You follow these characters. They have personalities. And you get kind of, I was mentioning before, you get your vegetables, which is learning about all of the good stuff like passwords and what ransomware is and how to protect yourself. But we candy coat it in this big animated story land. So when it comes time to, recalling information about what we talked about in that story, you don't remember a bunch of text on a slide. You remember, I remember that character got hacked and did this and this and that.
And if a child could understand it,
so you're making
pretty much
cybersecurity fun.
Trying. That's the goal.
Who would have thought? So kind of what's next, or what are some challenges that you're facing in kind of growing this business model?
So obviously we started with the utility industry. They had a law to buy our exact product, and there was no one else doing it. So it's pretty easy to fit that industry. We're starting to notice when we started to branch out to construction industries and agricultural, there's just different types of companies out there, different ways they want to deliver education. So we're actually in the middle of modifying our platform to automate a whole bunch of other, think of it like a playlist, like a Netflix type approach where you can pick episodes and shoot them out. And we track all this with analytics in the back end and fun stuff like that. But just kind of learning from the customers and feeling out what are their expectations, what do they want. So that we're going to be relaunching in October timeframe. And then from there, we're going to start growing our customer base in other industries outside of the utility space.
Yeah, we need to get them to that CoFounders lab.
Yeah, I say tomorrow night you got to pass. I'm going to give you a free pass. Well, of course, it's free to attend, but yeah, it's on me. Just say it that way. Yeah.
Cool. Thanks.
We just have a couple of minutes left. So, first of all, this idea of self-funding yourself, that's kind of redundant, but
it is redundant.
It is, right?
Very.
It's not kind of redundant. It is. But Mark Cuban talks about this. I don't know if you've ever heard him make this statement that you never get a loan to start your business, and it's kind of counterintuitive. Because you think all the seed money, sometimes you have this perception people are just throwing money at startups, right? Yes or yes?
Oh, yeah, of course.
But smart move on y'all's part. And what's the website or point of contact for y'all?
Sure. You can visit www.getcurricula.com or follow us on Twitter at Curricula.